You're now tuned into Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Robert Burwell. I'm also the president of the Washington 3%. And today's topic is going to be, what are your elected officials in King County up to? And why is your union involved? So, on Saturday, April 5th, which is this Saturday, there's going to be a march to the Federal Detention Center in SeaTac. It's going to start at Angle Lake Park, and they're going to march to the Federal Detention Center, and they're going to protest there. Now, in years past, when they've done protests at these detention centers for illegal immigrants, specifically in Tacoma, they've often turned violent. We had a member of the John Brown Gun Club who took it upon himself to go there and fire upon the detention center. I believe that was 2020, summer of 2020, the summer of love. And he ended up dying there. He was taken out by law enforcement. And, so if you're going to be in that area this Saturday, I would stay away, given the track record of these types of protests. Now, this little march is evidently protesting the deportation of illegal immigrants. They're not undocumented. They are illegal. They came here illegally. They broke the law. You cannot enter the country by jumping a fence or swimming across a river. I mean, you have to come through the port of entry to be legally documented, and these people are not. They're costing us $500 billion a year to take care of them, to house them and feed them and give them medical and all this kind of stuff. And, they need to go back to where they came from and come back legally. I mean, there's a lot of countries on this planet that if you cross their border illegally, you'll be lucky if you go to a prison hell and just stay there for life instead of being straight out executed. So deporting them is not that evil of a thing. If you want to come here, we're all for immigration, but you need to do it right. You can't just sneak in and expect us to take care of you. So that's my feelings on immigration, the illegal immigrants. But anyways, these people are going to be protesting the current efforts by the administration to deport these individuals and get them out of our country and save us a lot of money in taking care of them. And also cut down on drug trafficking, crime, sex trafficking, and all that. And these misguided individuals who participate in these type of marches and things, they are under the impression that all immigrants are just families, and all these illegal immigrants are just families and just coming here for a better life and yada yada yada. And while that is true with some, that is not true for all. And that second group have wreaked havoc in our nation the last 10, 15, 20 years. But really, the last 4 years has been terrible. The drug epidemic, the fentanyl, killing over 300,000 Americans every year. And yet these people are protesting to keep those individuals who are doing all these things, sex trafficking of women and children. They're protesting kicking them out of the country. Where are your morals? Where are your values? Why are you fighting for the worst of the worst? What is wrong with you that you want to stop people who sex traffic children from being deported. Do you want to stop people who are bringing drugs across the border and killing 300,000 of your fellow citizens every year? You want to keep them from being deported. What is wrong with you? You surely can't be that naive. Are you just evil? Serious question. You think those people should be here? You people who are going to participate in this type of protest? You think those people deserve to become citizens? If you really do, then you probably should check yourself into the nearest psychiatric ward because your mind doesn't work right. Anyways, these people who are going to be doing this protest, misguided, useful idiots that they are, they're going to be taking part of this protest, and it is organized by, and this is where it gets real fun, it's organized by Workers for Labor, the Organized Workers for Labor, which is basically just a bunch of socialists who, you know, are following the teachings of Karl Marx and think that labor should rule the world and that everybody should be treated the same. Everybody should get the same pay, no matter if they work for it or not. You know, those kind of socialist ideals where we all get the same stuff, but we don't have to put in the same effort. And what you end up with is nobody doing anything. Yeah, I was a union worker for a long time, and one of the worst things about the union was the fact that you would have the workers who didn't pull their weight. They got paid the same as the people who were working their butts off. And you know what that created? That created resentment, because the people who worked their butts off would get all the work, and the people who just barely did enough to get by, they give them the easiest things to do because they were useless. But they couldn't fire them because the union protects them. And you ask any union worker, they'll tell you the same thing, at least the good ones. The guys who are skating and being protected by the union, they're not going to complain about it, but the real good workers are. And if you're in a union, you know it's true. You know it's true. But anyway, so yeah, it's organized by Workers for Labor. They're the main organizers. Other people who are involved in supporting this and taking part in this is the Philip Randall Institute, which again is African American trade unionists. So African American union members are the ones who make up this group, which is the Philip Randall Institute. We have ProTech, which is Unified Service Employees. So if you're a Unified Service employee in that union, that's how you're being represented, by protesting for drug dealers and child sex traffickers. That's who's representing you. So if you're part of that union, I wouldn't be too happy about that. Washington State Employees, Locals 1495 and 304. These are unions for the state employees, and no big surprise there. Let's see here. We got CWA Local 7800, which is a communication workers union. You noticing the theme here? All these unions. If you're part of a union and you don't know this, I hate to break it to you, but unions are socialist. They don't believe in capitalism. They don't believe in making money. They believe in the good little collective, all being treated the same, no matter how much they work. That's what unions are. They're necessary. I always treated them as necessary evil when I was part of a union, but yeah, I wasn't happy about it. But had to be part of the union if I wanted to work. So there you go. Let's see here. What was the last one I did? Oh yeah, CWA communication. Okay. It's also being sponsored by the Freedom Socialist Party, which are anti-capitalists. IEBW 46, which is the electricians union out of Kent. So again, if you're a member of that union, that's how you're being represented. Rosie's Machinist 751. So the International Association of Machinists 751 is a union I used to belong to. It's the Boeing Machinist Union. And this is not the union itself. This is a little Facebook group of activists who are part of that union. So IAM 751 is not officially behind this. This is just a bunch of lunatics out of that union that form their own little group. So they're taking part of this. The Southeast Seattle Education Association. No surprise there. La Resistencia, which is an undocumented immigrant group. So this is a group of illegal immigrants, and they're going to be going there. So ICE, pay attention. You're going to have some people there you can take care of for us. And then the Transit Riders Union. You know what the Transit Riders Union is? That's the people that ride the bus and take the train. The people who actually avail themselves of public transportation. They formed a union. Their purpose is to fight for better public transit. So these are the people who are constantly lobbying the state to build all this stupid things like the light rail, which is costing us billions and billions of dollars, and nobody uses it except for these few people. These people fight for this. Again, these are the typical activist type people, lobbying for public transit. Hate cars. You shouldn't be able to own a car and have that kind of freedom. We should all use public transportation, right? Well, the fact of the matter is these people, they lobby for all this stuff and they get their way. But the people who actually use public transportation only pay for about 20% of the cost of public transportation. You know who pays for the rest of it? All us taxpayers who don't use it are paying for over 80% of what public transit costs in this state. And I don't think that's right. These people want to use public transportation, let them pay for it. Why should we pay for, 80% of us pay for 20% of the people? That's just ridiculous. So anyways, that's the list of all the people that are behind it as far as unions and things are concerned. But here's the big shockers. We have the mayor of SeaTac, Mohammed Egel, and the mayor of Burrell, Kevin Schilling, are also both sponsors of this march and supposedly will be taking part. So your elected mayors are marching to support having drug dealers, sex traffickers in your community. These gangs, all these kind of people, they are marching to keep those people in your community. Do you see any kind of a problem with that? I sure do. But anyways, this is going to be happening on Saturday, April 5th, which is the day after tomorrow is at the time of this recording. And again, they're going to start at Engle Lake Park, and they are going to march to the Federal Detention Center in SeaTac. So I would avoid that area. Again, given what I said at the beginning, the violent nature of the protests at the detention centers, I would avoid that area if you can. So we'll see how that turns out Saturday. So one more thing I want to go over real quick before I end this. This is kind of a real quick deal I'm doing tonight because I want to get it out before, so it's a timely manner so you can see it before this goes down Saturday. But we have another event that's coming up in a couple weeks. It's on April 19th. And it is a drag brunch fundraiser. So it's a fundraiser brunch deal that they're having, I guess, for drag queens or whatever. They're trying to raise money for drag queens, or else they're going to be performing at it. I'm not real sure. But yeah, it's a drag brunch fundraiser. And, really, if a bunch of drag queens want to have a fundraiser, I don't really care. It's your life. Do what you want, right? What's upsetting about this is it is being held at the Seattle First Baptist Church. Seattle First Baptist Church is hosting a drag brunch fundraiser. Drag queens in a church. Wow. Don't really know what to say about that, except for, it's been a while since I've been in church, and I just had some bad experiences, with that type of situation. I believe in what I believe, and I don't need to be around a bunch of people who pretend to believe about things to feel secure in what I believe. But last time I was in church, that's a big no-go, right? Drag queens in a church? Tell you what, if that was my church, I'd be done with them. I would be. Having a drag queen brunch in a church. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. I mean, it's like I said, if they want to have a brunch someplace else, I don't care. You do you. But that's in direct conflict with everything I've ever been taught about Christianity, as far as I'm concerned. And whether you believe it's right or wrong, that shouldn't be going on in a church. It makes like 0 sense. That's like, I don't understand. Are they going to host Satanists next? I mean, if we're going to be open to everything, right? Everything that the church doesn't stand for, you going to host the Satanists next? I mean, what's going on? This is like bizarro land. This is clown world. But anyways, this big drag brunch fundraiser is being sponsored by the Seattle Democratic Socialists of America, DSA. They're real popular. They're probably the biggest socialist / communist group in the United States. They got like over 90,000 people across the country that belong to the DSA. This is being sponsored by the Seattle chapter, and their stated mission is to destroy capitalism, to destroy the American way of life. Basically, capitalism is what this country was founded on. It's what this country has thrived under. No place in the world has socialism ever been successful at dragging people out of poverty. What it does is, instead of dragging people out of poverty, it lowers everybody to the same level, which is poverty. There's not a single country, true socialist country, not capitalist countries with social programs like America or the Scandinavian countries. They are not socialist countries. They're capitalist countries that have social programs, just like the United States. We have social programs. Capitalism is the only form of government that has ever raised people out of poverty. Socialism does the exact opposite, always have. But anyways, these are the people who are putting on this drag brunch fundraiser at this Baptist church, Seattle First Baptist Church. So that is again on April 19th. So if you think this is a insult to your faith, or if it's blasphemous, which everything I read says it is, you might want to let them know about that. Let them know how you feel. And with that, that's all I got for you tonight. Like I said, this is something that I'm just doing real quick. because I want to get this out, especially about Saturday, give everybody heads up, and to let you people who are in the unions know what your union's doing with your money. They're supporting illegals and drug dealers and child sex traffickers. That's what your union is doing. So I might be looking for some different union leadership if I was still in that union, I tell you what. And with that, y'all enjoy your weekend. I sure am gonna, because I'm not gonna be anywhere around this garbage. And we'll see you next time on Behind the Wire. Good night.